Good morning. Welcome to Books at the Bottom of the Stairs. My name's Lorene. This is the second week of the Newberry Challenge that I'm hosting in 2022, which means basically I'm the only one reading these books as far as I know, but we're having fun. So 2003 is the year of the Newberry books that I am looking at, and the winner that year was Crispin, The Cross of Lead by Avi. And that was the only one that I had not read from that year. The other ones were House of Scorpion by Nancy Farmer, which I really enjoyed. Pictures of Hollis Woods by Patricia Riley, which I did not read but cannot get hold of at the local library, and that's my criteria. It has to be available at the library or already on a bookshelf of a friend. Hoot by Carl Hayson. We read that as a read aloud a few years back at the camp, and it wasn't our favorite, but anyhow. Corner of the Universe by Anne Martin. I have not read. It's available as an audio, and I'm going to do a bit of a cheat and do it at the camp probably next month. And so I'm cheating a little bit. And the last one is Surviving Applewhites by Stephanie Tolan, which is also not available at the library. So this is a weird year for me. I'm sort of 50-50 in terms of what I've read and haven't read and can't get hold of. But based on what I have read, I am very surprised by Crispin. The House of Scorpion is kind of a dystopian fantasy sort of thing where it's very, very, very different. Hoot is a story about some owls, endangered owls, that a young boy and his friend comes across, and they decide to try and save the field where these owls nest. They tend to nest in shallow, gravelly type of ground, and so there's some development that's going to go in, and the field is going to be paved up and so on. So they're trying to save the owls. And the others, I just don't know. Okay, Crispin takes place in the 1300s, 1357, I believe. 1377. And a pestilence, the plague, has gone through. The countryside is pretty much decimated. A lot of the small villages are really blank as far as survivors goes. And those that have survived have tended to move on to towns or other villages and just try and reassemble themselves. And Crispin is the illegitimate son of a lady called Asta. She doesn't belong in the community that she's at. She's been sent there when she was pregnant with Asta, and we come upon this family of two just as she has died, and he's at her graveside. Now, he doesn't know his real name. He's called Asta's son or Asta's boy. And one of the things that the priest has to do is tell him his real name and give him some background information as to who he really is, who his father really is. So there is treachery afoot because his real father is someone who the power holders around Asta's son don't want him to know about. So there's murkiness happening right off the bat. And I guess you would call him, he's sort of the foreman of the castle. He's given us another name. He's got it in for Asta's son immediately and is already trying to hunt him down and do him in. So he has to go on the run. Discovers his name is Crispin. Now, this is all pretty good. What I really liked about this book were the plot lines. Crispin's escape, who he encounters in order to have a successful escape, his awakening to the world, because he's basically been living in a hovel in a pigsty most of his life. So he doesn't even really know or grasp the sense of immensity that a town would have or a castle would have compared to the manor house. So all the lands around him are owned by the Lord Fornival, and he's being chased by Lord Fornival's top man, who is related to Lady Fornival. Okay, so if I start to tell you any more of this story, I'm going to start to give away the plot points. And the plot is really pretty good. Crispin is a pretty good character as well, I will say, and the man that he comes across who helps to rescue him from many dilemmas is called Bear. He has a different name, but he's a juggler, and so he sings and juggles and dances and so on, and that's how he travels the country. And he takes Crispin under his wing. This is all really, really good. I mean, from that point of view, this is a solid book. Crispin and Bear have a great relationship. And there's quite a lot of tension in terms of how they maneuver through the towns and villages and seek freedom for Crispin. What I have been completely ambivalent about is the amount of Catholicism in this book. It's all based on the church. Now, this is, of course, totally normal for that time period. Everybody was their faith-based was Catholic, and the churches and priests and prayer and all that sort of thing was definitely part of their daily conversation. They would refer to the saints, they would curse using God's name, they would pray for this and pray for that. There was a lot of superstition. So I understand the context. What I really struggled with was the amount of it. We just talked about the Book of Boy, which was not part of the Newberry Challenge, but was about a young angel who was also making a quest of some kind. And we really just get the angel's conversation with himself and with, not really with other angels or with God per se, but just he sort of has a speculative conversation with himself. And this one is so different. It's so embedded in the Catholicism of that time. And so where my questioning, my surprise, my unexpectedness comes from is how much of this is really true and how much of this is a stereotype of what we think it was like then. It seemed to tick all the boxes for expressing a medieval, prayerful, frightened kind of a life. And I don't know. I didn't really believe the context. And that's me being jaded as an adult. So then I got to put myself into the shoes of a 10, 11, 12-year-old reading this. And I think I probably would be convinced, but not if I didn't go to a church of some sort. I don't think I would get it, because it's just so alien to a kid has no church experience. And the further away you get from a Catholic high mass and all the saints and all the Stations of the Cross and so on, I think the further you get away from understanding what Crispin's worried about in terms of his immortal soul and going to hell and this whole kind of hell as part of his future, and based on his expectations of how long he's going to be alive, he doesn't think he's going to be alive till the end of the week. So, hell is imminent. And I just kept thinking, I don't love this. Couldn't he have just been frightened and not have to worry about eternal death? So I'm just very surprised that in 2003, this wasn't on the judge's mind. Because the readership at 2003 would be pretty diverse. Even if you just kept it in the context of sort of North American, Western experience, I think there are a lot of children who don't have a very deep connection to a particular church. They're probably more paying attention to like the Sunday school stories and so on. I don't think they've reached this level of hell and damnation. I don't know, because that's not my childhood experience. But I just don't think this book would reach across cultural context. So that's what surprises me about this book. And I know I said I didn't want to really talk about this, the winner in context with the other prize winners, the honor mentions, and not having read all of them, I can't really make a very good judgment. But I will say that because it's my channel and I can contradict myself, I will say that I think The House of Scorpion by Nancy Farmer is by I don't know what to say beyond that. So I will try and follow through with the other books that I haven't read and see if I can find them some other fashion. But in terms of 2003, I find it a surprising outcome. And I guess that's it for me. I hope that if you're reading the Newberrys, I hope that you are enjoying what you're reading. And if you're not, I hope that you are having all your other reading dreams and adventures come true. I'll talk to you. Bye.